Task 1 of becoming a positive leader requires me to explore how I see myself as a leader and who I want to be. However, in order to do that, I believe that you need some background to my journey so far. For most of my teaching career, I have had a passion for the pastoral care of students. A wise mentor once summed up this belief by saying, "In 20 years' time, your students will not remember many of the facts or skills that you have taught them. However, they will remember how you made them feel about themselves." I'd always believed this, but I loved the way that she put the idea into words for me. This concept is the foundation of who I am as a teacher, as a human being, and as a leader. For the last few years, I have had a fascination with positive education, but I had only a limited understanding of the concepts within the PERMA model. About 7 years ago, my head of junior school told me that she felt that I had many gifts that would eventually bring me into leadership. In fact, she even searched out courses which she felt might be of interest to me in this area, but I was not yet ready to study. This idea then played on my mind for a long time. A few years ago, I applied for a leadership role and was down to the final 2. However, the other person had some leadership experience and he was chosen for the role rather than me. I was disappointed, but I realised it was time for me to do something. This led me to start exploring postgraduate studies, which might help me in my journey towards leadership. As I considered many of the educational leadership courses, I found the coursework very dry and uninspiring. It was not until I stumbled upon the Masters of Applied Leadership in Positive Education that I felt that I had found the course which fitted perfectly with who I am and what I believe. However, this also means that I am currently in an interesting position. Whilst I am studying leadership, I'm only in a minor leadership role. I have a small portfolio in terms of promoting and encouraging student wellbeing programs within the junior school, but in reality, I am just a classroom teacher, just one of the team. I have no real power over the other staff at this point, nor do I have much influence over decision making. In this way, it's harder to find myself as a leader at this stage in my career. Instead, it's much easier to focus on where I see myself heading and the type of leader that I hope to be. However, I will tell you about the impact of my leadership style at this point as well. Robbins Judge Milton Boyle defined leadership as the ability to influence a group towards the achievement of a vision or set of goals. So far in my studies, I have explored many different leadership styles. As I've done this, I've found myself constantly analysing the leaders around me. From my reading, I believe that no one style of leadership is definitively effective. This idea is explored by Marshall in his writing about the issues related to the development of leadership. However, there does seem to be a lot of support for the transformational leadership model. Robbins et al. Defined transformational leaders as those who inspire followers to transcend their own self-interests and who are capable of having a profound and extraordinary effect on followers. This seems a high ideal, and I'm not sure that I know any truly transformational leaders. However, I do see elements of this style in all of the successful leaders around me. Barber, Whalen and Clark talk about the practices, beliefs and attitudes which are needed for effective leadership. They explore the elements of a good leader, such as building a shared vision, role modelling behaviours, understanding and developing people, and being optimistic and enthusiastic. So, whilst I may feel that I have no real power in my current small leadership position, I can see that I have the potential to have an impact. For example, I have been modelling teaching growth mindset in all classes. I've also been enthusiastically promoting the importance of student wellbeing to all staff and helping them to develop their understanding of practices which can help students to thrive in the classroom. Over the past few years, I have undertaken both the Gallup and VIA surveys to ascertain my strengths. My VIA strengths include fairness, love, leadership, social intelligence, zest and forgiveness. And my top 5 Gallup strengths are communication, includer, developer, achiever and harmony. None of these strengths were surprising to me. They make sense when I consider who I am as a teacher and as a leader. At this point, I would like to introduce my artefact. Almost 20 years ago, my husband studied theology. Whilst he was studying, I had the opportunity to also study a couple of courses. This artefact was created as an assignment for a course entitled Introduction to Pastoral Care. My task was to create an artwork which represented who I am. For me, this artwork also still represents who I am now and who I want to be as a leader. This artifact is all about people. It is entirely relational. This also reflects my leadership style, as I believe that I am working towards being a mix of transformational and servant leadership styles, both of which revolve around people. As mentioned previously, transformational leadership is about inspiring others to want to follow, and servant leadership is about helping others to grow and develop. My Via and Gallup strengths would support the fact that these would be natural leadership styles to which I would aspire. Lathwood, Day, Sammons, Harris and Hopkins claim that leaders improve teaching and learning indirectly and most powerfully through their influence on staff motivation, commitment and working conditions. My current role is all about motivating the staff and encouraging them to see student wellbeing as valuable and worthy of their time and effort. As part of my studies in organisational behaviour, I undertook a number of online tests using the Pearson MyLab website. From these tests, I discovered that I am people-oriented more than task-oriented. I am rather charismatic and relatively trustworthy. They also revealed that I am ethical and I place a high value on collaboration and compromise. In my artefact, you will see that there is a cross. This is because I am a Christian teacher who works in a Christian school. I would hope that I am seen as ethical by those around me, and those ethics are based in the Christian faith and biblical principles. In my artefact, the photographs are all overlapping, almost like they are collaborating and compromising the space. My Gallup strengths of harmony would support the idea that I will work hard to find compromise in order to avoid confrontation. Gardner, Avolio, Luthans, May and Wallumbwa explored the concept of authentic leadership. I believe that this is something that I am still working on, as I tend to avoid conflict due to my harmony strength. I am perhaps not always completely authentic. To be truly authentic, I believe that I am developing the skills and confidence to confront staff when necessary and question their behaviour when it is not positive and helpful. I would now like to explore the ways that I am becoming a positive leader based on the PERMA model. My ideas and understanding of the PERMA model are based on my reading of Flourish by Martin Seligman. The first element of PERMA is positive emotions. Interestingly, as I am studying and undertaking this student wellbeing role in my school, I'm finding it easier to express positive emotions within the school. This is because I'm feeling optimistic about the future. I believe that wellbeing is vital for both the students and the staff in my school. I'm finding it easy to be positive and joyful in my approach to teaching others how to implement wellbeing programs. However, where I'm still struggling and learning is in the area of how to deal with staff who either do not value the importance of wellbeing or who see themselves as already caring about wellbeing when, in fact, their actions do not always support this. This also leads to negativity in some staff. As a leader, I'm working towards finding the positive emotions in this area and how I can most effectively be a transformational leader who will inspire those staff members to want to grow and improve. As part of my studies, I've also completed a PsyCAP assessment, and this test ascertained that I had relatively high levels of hope, efficacy, resilience and optimism. These are 4 of the positive emotions. However, I was probably weakest in the area of optimism, and this would be a fair statement. I tend to get caught up in the negativity of others, so this is probably an area on which I need to work as I become a more positive leader. The second element of PERMA is engagement. I'm highly engaged in this process and in my learning. Starting the MALPE has inspired a newfound love of learning in me. I had not studied for almost 20 years before I undertook this course, and I was quite daunted by the prospect. However, I've found that I not only enjoy the learning, I'm thriving as I do so. I believe that it has reignited in me a love of being a lifelong learner, which is an excellent model for both my students and the staff whom I'm trying to inspire. I hope that I will be a leader who is always learning, and that this will help me to be consistently engaged in what I have to do. I am thoroughly involved in my current role as I'm passionate about the need for student wellbeing to underpin all of our teaching. Positive relationships is probably the biggest challenge I'm working on developing as a leader. I believe that I have good relationships with all of the staff in my school, but I'm still working on building a more positive relationship with them in terms of being a leader. From watching other leaders who inspire me, I'm seeing that these positive relationships may also need to involve some tough decisions, as well as being a supportive leader. At times, I may need to make difficult calls as a leader, and I think this is something I'm still working on. The work of Dr. Kim Cameron on managing negative people may be helpful as I develop my skills as a leader. In his talks, Simon Sinek discusses the ways that good leaders make you feel safe. I think this is part of what I'm still working on as a leader. How can I help the staff to feel safe in their roles when I'm trying to push them outside their comfort zones? I guess this is an area on which I will continue to develop. Barbara Fredrickson's work on neuroplasticity, which is discussed in Dr. Kim Cameron's talk, would suggest that I will need to combat the negativity of some staff by injecting positivity and better relationships, and this would bring us full circle back to the PERMA model being an excellent way to become a more effective leader. Meaning is probably the easiest part of this model for me at this stage. I feel that I have meaning in my current role. I feel fulfilled because I am building something which I believe is vitally important for the students in our school. It stems directly from my personal educational philosophy about wanting every student to feel loved and accepted and to thrive in our school. Interestingly though, I think a challenge of being a leader is to find meaning in the mundane, everyday chores which need to be completed. Accomplishment is an ongoing part of leadership. In order to feel accomplished, I think that it is important to set small, achievable goals. I tend to be a rather organised person and I love a to-do list. I feel good when I have set my next goal and I'm working passionately to have success in this area. I believe that this is also important as a leader. I also believe that I will need to set goals for the staff so that they can feel accomplishment too. So, as you can see, I've been on quite a journey this year. I have become much more aware of myself as a leader. I'm aware of my innate strengths and I'm learning to use these strengths in my leadership. However, I can also see that I have a lifelong journey towards being the best leader in any particular situation. This course is also helping me to gain clarity about the type of leadership roles to which I believe I am most suited. I have a passion for student wellbeing and I believe that I will be more engaged and find meaning if I'm in a role which allows me to work in this area. I'm still learning to analyse the areas in which my team is effective and where we are not successful. I need a combination of hope, resilience, self-efficacy and optimism to do this, as discussed by Luther Zavolio of Avey and Norman. As my artefact points out, I am highly relational and collaborative. However, when undertaking the test to analyse my least preferred co-worker score from the Pearson MyLab website, I also identified that I am rather task-oriented. So I will also need to tap into this strength to ensure that I do not become completely people-oriented and forget to focus on the task at hand. There is an exciting road ahead of me with regard to leadership, and I'm looking forward to it.